My name is Maya Bennett, and I was 24 years old when I started my first company. I had no investors, no wealthy connections, and no name behind me. I had a laptop, some savings, and an idea for helping small businesses protect their digital systems. I worked from a rented apartment, answering emails during breakfast and writing proposals long after midnight. For months, nobody took me seriously. Then my first client signed a contract. 2 became 5. 5 became 12. Within a year, I had built a small cybersecurity consulting business that was making real money. My parents became very interested. At first, they told everyone how proud they were. My father called me ambitious. My mother said I was proving their daughter could build something from nothing. Then they started mentioning my sister, Claire. Claire was 21 and struggling to figure out what she wanted to do. My parents kept saying I should give her a chance to help me. I agreed. She started handling administrative tasks, answering messages, and organizing client information. I trusted her because she was my sister. That trust lasted until the morning 3 important clients emailed me saying they had been informed of a management change. I called my parents. My father didn't sound surprised. Maya, he said calmly, you need to stop fighting this. We already decided Claire deserves the opportunity. I couldn't speak. They hadn't asked me to help Claire anymore. They had decided to take my business away from me. And somehow, they had already started handing my clients to her. The morning, I drove to my parents' house, expecting an explanation. I found Claire sitting at their kitchen table with my client list on her laptop. My father looked at me and said, "This is better for everyone." I stared at Claire. "You took my clients?" She lowered her eyes. Mom and Dad thought I should have a chance. A chance. That was what they called it. I reminded them that I had built every relationship myself. I had spent months earning trust, writing proposals, fixing problems, and answering calls at all hours. Those clients weren't family property. My mother shook her head. "Maya, you're too emotional about this. Claire needs support. You're already capable of starting something else." Then Claire showed me company website. My stomach dropped. It used my business description, service packages, and phrases I had written. 3 of my biggest clients were listed as strategic partners. I called each one. 2 told me Claire had contacted them and said I was stepping away. The 3rd said my father had assured him the family was transferring the business to Claire. That was when I understood how carefully they had planned this. Within weeks, my revenue collapsed. Vendors stopped returning calls. Clients disappeared. My parents insisted I should accept reality. So I did. But before closing the company, I backed up each contract, email, invoice, and client transfer record. I didn't know why I was saving them. I only knew that someday someone might ask what happened. And I wanted the truth to exist somewhere besides my memory. After closing my company, I felt like I had failed. They had taken my clients, but they hadn't taken my ability to build. I started over. I accepted cybersecurity jobs, worked from a borrowed office, and rebuilt my reputation one client at a time. I kept my family outside the business. By the end of the first year, I had 4 employees and a growing list of clients. By year 3, larger companies were calling me. By year 5, we had offices in 3 cities. I never announced any of it to my parents. They heard about my progress, but I didn't explain myself. I didn't need their approval. Meanwhile, Claire's company looked successful. She still had several clients from my first startup, and my parents told everyone they had helped her become a business owner. But the cracks appeared. Clients began leaving because Claire couldn't deliver the service they expected. Several contacted my company instead. I never asked them to return. They came because they remembered who had built those relationships. Then everything changed. My company developed a cybersecurity platform that solved a problem affecting corporations. An investment firm approached us. Negotiations lasted months. When the deal closed, our valuation reached $940 million. I sat in my office, staring at the number. 10 years earlier, my parents had decided I wasn't worth backing. Now my company was worth more than they could have imagined. I thought that was the end. Then my phone buzzed. It was my mother. "Sweetheart, we need to talk. Family dinner tonight. No excuses." I almost didn't go to that dinner. For 10 years, my parents had barely asked how I was doing. Now that my company was making headlines, suddenly they wanted the family together. I arrived at the restaurant at 7. My parents were seated. Claire was beside them, quiet. My mother hugged me. "We're so proud of you," she said. I smiled. "Thank you." For a few minutes, they talked about my company, the valuation, the news, and how quickly everything changed. Then my father leaned forward. "We think there's an opportunity here for the family." I already knew where this was going. They wanted me to partner with Claire. My mother explained that Claire had clients and connections. Together, they could combine our businesses and build something enormous. I looked at Claire. "Did you know about this?" She hesitated. "That's not the point," my father said. "No," I replied. "It is exactly the point." Then I asked the question nobody expected. "Do you remember what you did to my first company?" Silence. My mother looked away. My father sighed. "Maya, that was 10 years ago." Exactly. I opened my bag and placed a folder on the table. Inside were copies of the contracts, emails, invoices, and messages showing how my clients had been transferred to Claire. Claire's face changed. "I never knew you kept those," she whispered. "I kept everything." My father stared at the documents. "What do you want from us?" I closed the folder. "Nothing." And that was when they finally understood why I had agreed to come. That I looked at my parents across the table and realized something strange. I didn't feel angry anymore. 10 years ago, I would have done anything for them to admit they had been wrong. Now, I didn't need their apology. I didn't need Claire to fail. I didn't even need them to understand how much they had hurt me. I only needed them to understand that they no longer had any control over my life. My father looked at the folder again. "We were trying to help Claire," he said. "I know," I replied. "But you helped her by taking something you didn't build." Claire finally spoke. "Maya, I was wrong. I knew Mom and Dad were giving me advantages, and I accepted them. I'm sorry." For the first time, her apology sounded sincere. I nodded. "I accept your apology." My mother started crying. She reached across the table and held my hand. "We should have believed in you." I gently pulled my hand back. "You should have. But I learned something because you didn't." They looked at me. I learned how to believe in myself. There was nothing left to argue about. I stood, picked up my folder, and walked toward the door. 10 years earlier, my family had taken my first company because they believed they could decide which daughter deserved to succeed. They were wrong. They could take my clients. They could take my first opportunity. They could even convince me, for a while, that I had failed. But they could never take away the person who had built it in the first place. And that person was still me. I walked out of that restaurant without looking back. For the first time, I wasn't walking away from my family. I was walking toward my future.